it's often the mistake that is made is that politicians are stupid. And the thing is, they're not stupid. They would know to account for these adjustments. They've got, or do you think it's incompetence or what?
Okay, so I didn't want to get on my high horse with politics here,
please
but
do.
I don't think you should carry a position within government as a specialist unless you've worked in that sector.
Oh God, yes.
How can you have a housing minister that's never worked in housing? How
And
can
the
you have
fact
an
that-
education minister that's never worked in education? If you don't know what it's like on the coalface, how can you logically run that division for the government knowing that you understand the inner mechanics of it, you've seen under the bonnet? And for me, that is one of the fundamental flaws of modern politics. You get people moved about a cabinet from one discipline to another. You think, how can you be the best person for that?
Canada used to do it properly. Canada used to have only ministers, exactly what you just said. The minister for any particular industry was like the top of their game in that industry for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was very young and became politically engaged at a very early age, and I realised that, and I realised the fact that you can be cabinet minister for education one day and then for health next month. I'm like, what?
It just doesn't make sense.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, so is this the launch of your campaign to become Minister for Housing? Is that what you're saying?
So it's funny, you just said that you're politically engaged. I'm politically disengaged because I find it so infuriating.
So we're putting me forward?
Yeah, I'm going to put you forward.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. You've got one vote already.
Okay, brilliant.
But yeah, I'm the opposite. I find it so frustrating, and it's.
I don't think anyone is politically disengaged. I think it's just what you said. I think people find it so frustrating that it's just unpalatable. So you're not disengaged because you're looking at it going, fuck it, like you want it to be different, but you're just kind of given up in terms of bothering to talk about it too much.
Okay, so and again, I don't want to pick on her in particular because again, I'll give it a broad brush to all politicians. But Yvette Cooper was a housing minister for Labour at the point where they introduced energy performance certificates.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they introduced home information packs.
Yeah.
And HIPS could have been a game changer. It could have absolutely transformed an archaic system that hadn't changed for hundreds of years. Yeah. The whole principle of buying property in the UK is based upon a Latin principle called caveat emptor. And the idea of this meant that a lot of the responsibility came to the seller to produce things like documents and searches and other bits in advance.
Right.
The rollout of it was shocking. And it fell on its face within less than 12 months. Well, again, the lenders hadn't been properly consulted. The estate agents hadn't been properly consulted.
Right.
And it just wasn't fit for purpose and it failed. And you almost think, well, was your priority here just to introduce EPCs because it was part of the Kyoto Treaty and actually you weren't that bothered about HIPS, whereas agents, HIPS could have prevented millions of people from heartache. It could have been the difference of millions of lost revenue where people have spent money for a move that will never happen because the entire system is completely broken and not fit for purpose. You shouldn't enter into a transaction, spend 3 months doing the conveyancing process for a deal to go tits the day before exchange of contracts. I've had people literally boxed up, geared up, ready for a move, and an entire chain's collapsed.
Yeah.
No one should be in that position.
Yeah.
So there have been these critical crossing points, these tipping points where if the right people had been in charge and had the mandate at the right time and the rollout had been done properly, it could have transformed the landscape for everybody.
That's such. I haven't thought about that at all. That's so interesting. Okay.
Ours is the most problematic conveyancing process in the world.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. If you look in other places, you look in the States, you look in Africa, you look in Australasia as a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Even France, it's the polar opposite of caveat emptor. The responsibility sits with the seller. So if you don't get your survey done and all of your documents in order prior to trying to sell the property, the buyer can come back and sue you. So instead.
So do you think that is something that should be changed?
Instantly.
Right. Okay. And what's the principle called? Caveat.
Caveat emptor. It's buyer beware.
Right.
Which basically means it's all of the onus and responsibility is down to the buyer.